What's going on, everybody? CVH here for Channel Earth Power with the one and only Spencer Swan again.
Hello.
And we've got a wonderful deck profile for you. Spencer, what do we have for the people?
We have Hydro Hurricane.
We do. We are trucking along in our Season 2 bracket, and this is a deck that a lot of you commented on. You played Marinomancer last season a lot.
I sure did.
And a lot of you commented that, hey, maybe we should play a slightly more meta version of Lightwater Dark. Hydro Hurricane's really popular in the IDC tournaments, and this is that list. Tell us about Hydro Hurricane a little bit. Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, there you go. It's a wild looking deck.
Yeah.
So the goal of the deck is to get as big a board as possible, essentially, of light and darkness creatures, which both interact with the Hydro Hurricane. So for every darkness creature you have, you can return a creature from your opponent's battle zone to their hand. For every light creature you have, you get to return a mana to their hand.
Yeah.
So you get up to a lot of shenanigans as soon as you can fill up any kind of board here.
Yeah, it's, as you can see, heavily focused on the light side of the equation, as you've seen with the other mana burn decks in the bracket and in Season 1's bracket. Mana removal is just very powerful. You know, keeping your opponent off of the ability to play cards is theoretically good, and in practice also very good.
Yep.
And then if you have one or two darkness creatures, the Marrow, Ooze, or the Locomotiver, for some creature bounce, you're removing a little bit of their tempo, and they just have no way to build that board back since you've taken away their mana. Shout out to all the people in the IDC who've played this deck. We play the 40-card finish meta with some limits to cards like Cranium Clamp that aren't even in the deck. But cutting this deck from around 45 to 40 is pretty hard. A lot of the 45 card lists get to play like 2 Zombie Carnivals, a little bit more in the blocker lineup, like a 5th 1-drop would be kind of nice.
Yep.
Bloody Skeeto to attack against those Ganta decks. But like things like 2 Lost Soul, 3 Hurricane, the Holy Oz as your only mass kill seemed pretty necessary.
Yeah.
And the main power of the deck is the draw to get you to those wide boards, like the Energy Streams and Mystrios.
Yes, and it is an exceptionally large amount of draw, especially for 40 cards. So you will always see it, and what we were just saying before the profile started is that you should essentially guaranteed see Mystrios on 5. With this deck count and drawing this many cards, if you play Stream or Eureka Charger, the percentages just go nuts.
Yeah.
To hit that on curve every time.
Yeah, if you're against the Negro deck, the lines are pretty clear. You know, play the blockers that keep you alive, use things like Spiral Gate and Miraculous Snare as needed. But against Control, you really don't need to commit to the board early. You're just trying to stick a Mystrios as early as possible, maybe alongside a Pela against the fire removal, and just start going wide.
Yep.
And as soon as you can do that, yeah, everything becomes a floater. You're just dropping Marrow Ooze for 1 and drawing cards, and everything's great. You find the Hydro Hurricanes, which you probably don't want a mana, but just in case there is that one Belix and Phal to get one back. And yeah, ideally, this is like mana burn where you play a Hydro Hurricane to some great effect, bouncing 3 or 4 mana and 1 or 2 creatures, and then start breaking shields 2 or 3 at a time, and you kind of get there.
Yeah, kind of render them powerless at that point.
Yeah, you can also do cool things like Hydro Hurricane, bounce a bunch of stuff into Lost Soul on the next turn.
Sure can.
Yeah, you sure can.
And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about with this deck within the meta with you is that we have a lot of rush presence in the bracket, and we have a lot of mana burn presence in the bracket after Season 1. So this deck is really interesting in that it is almost a hard rush counter, given that it runs 1-drop blockers and has blockers that make everything larger on your side.
Payless.
And light blockers are the answer to rush decks, right? So in theory, it has tools for all of those things. And then against Control, as we said, you're going to slam Mystrios on 5 pretty much every time.
Slamming those streams because you don't need to build a board.
Exactly. And then you'll get to a place where you can burn mana faster than mana burn can burn mana.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's turbo burn, whether it's the normal kind of mana rampy deck, you hit it before they hit it.
The hope is that they don't... Yeah, well, you got to draw it, of course, and you can just go wide before they start playing Miraculous Plagues.
Exactly. Exactly. And they can't deal with multiple threats in traditional mana burn. Turbo can, right?
Yeah.
But if you get Pelas on the board, then suddenly your stuff is really hard for them to deal with.
Yeah.
So this deck is actually like a sleeper favorite of mine because I think it counters both extremes of the meta really well. And it sits in this interesting part of the rock, paper, scissors that I don't think any other deck really occupies right now in the bracket.
Yeah. And even if they deal with like the mana burn part of the equation, like sometimes you can just drop a Petrova and make, you know, pretty threatening Mystrioses and they start attacking. and play Glena Vuele, or however you say the card's name, and
Yeah.
just start smacking them. This deck doesn't have ramp too much, but it does have Eureka Charger, which is a nice little
Yep.
card draw, and you
Yep.
know, prevents you from having to put something else in mana later.
And you essentially cap at 7.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't need more than Lost Soul.
Yeah.
And even if you slam Mist into something else to draw a card, right, it's still a good turn for you. And if you already have Mist out, you mostly want to play between 1 and 3 things a turn.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you go up to like 8. I guess that'd be cute, like 1-drop Hydro. But yeah, you really don't need that much mana. You just want to be able to play 2 to 3 blockers and get there. But yeah, it's really funny with Palo. Marrow Ooze becomes 3,000. Ura Giga starts trading with Ganta. Like, it's a good card. These things look small, but they get pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really works out.
Yeah. So that's the deck. That's Hydro Hurricane. A lot of you might have already been familiar with it as a concept, but it's new to us, and we're having a blast.
Oh, it's a great time.
Yeah. So stay tuned, and you'll have a great time watching the match against Light, not even Light, every other color. Water, Dark, Fire, Nature.
All the other ones.
Water, Dark did that thing Carl always does, where I say Light for no reason. Water, Dark, Fire, Nature, Rebirth, Midrange. That deck profile is coming up later this week, and then the match between that and Hydro Hurricane. It's going to be great. Stay tuned.
It's going to be a spicy one.
Yeah. Well, until next time. Yeah, we'll see you later. Peach.
Peach.
Get out of here.